A weekly review done manually used to take me 2 to 3 hours, and now it barely takes me 30 to 40 minutes. This is what an automated weekly review in Obsidian looks like. I based this template of the Getting Things Done weekly review. So the idea is that you have your daily logs, and here you track what you do every day, how you feel, the usual daily task stuff, and ideas. At the end of the week, it's automatically aggregated into your weekly note, where you analyze how you have been doing and decide what you need to do next week. The weekly review is life-changing. It relieves the mental burden of constantly planning on what you have to do next and worrying that you're missing something. It is great for your productivity. It is amazing for your stress levels. Just try it. Hi y'all, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Pamela. I'm a graduate student in Singapore. On this channel, we share ways to implement productivity systems so we can live a productive potato life. Today, I'll be showing you my system for automating my weekly reviews so that my weekly review is automatically populated with rollups from my daily pages and also has a tracker for my habits. So the plugins I'm using for this are Periodic Notes, Templater, Dataview, and Habit Tracking. As a bonus, you can easily get the Calendar plugin to click around the dates. This is the Periodic Note folder structure. I prefer for all these notes to be in one folder, and I have subfolders because they'll be used for Templater's default folder note template later. So first, you want to set up Periodic Notes. Download the plugin, enable the options like this. Okay, so Periodic Note settings, I have a folder for daily notes and a folder for weekly notes. And I also name my weekly reviews a little bit differently. So I'm going to just make a new note for this, but this is how my weekly reviews are named. And then I have a monthly review and a monthly review folder. My monthly review is named like this. This is just my naming convention. You can name it however you want, but you will need to change like the template to reflect this in the links to each weekly and daily note. So that's the links here. Daily template. Okay, so my daily template, because of the way I do my names, my weekly review, which looks like this, I can bring it out and then like make my weekly review template. We have this link to the parent. Like my system is not perfect, and like if you mess with the weeklies on the week that it isn't supposed to be on, you might actually get a bug. So if I try to open next week's pages, okay, it does go to the correct weekly review because you see this is week 13 and last week was week 12, so it does get to the correct weekly review link. But if I actually try to click this, it will give me the wrong date information within the weekly review because it's dependent on now. Okay, so going back, depending on your locale, you might start the week on Monday or Sunday. I can't remember the weeks by the number of the week that is conventionally used. So instead, I add in the starting date of the week into my weekly reviews like this. I name my weekly notes like this so I can see which week it starts on. If you add a date into the weekly template naming, Periodic Note uses the first day of the week as you set it. Don't set the templates in here, just set the location. Next, we're going to use both Templater and Dataview, so download both of these first. Templater is used for creating the weekly review with the correct dates, and the Dataview tables are going to use those dates to get only the entries from this week. So this will give you Monday to Sunday. And then for memories, I basically have this rendered entry. It shows me all the dates of this week where I actually use the memory tag. And if I click here, you can see that I have memories somewhere there, memories. And this is the same as what I just showed. This is the daily note. I mostly use interstitial journaling with tags, but I do have categories like daily checklist, which is where my habits and like a daily simplified checklist of all the things I should do in the morning go. I also have tasks and log. The log is where I do interstitial journaling, which is where you add a timestamp plus a note. And make sure that the daily note has links to the weekly note for easy navigation. But actually, you can just use the open weekly note command by periodic notes. If the weekly review note has not been created, clicking on the link to the weekly review from the daily page will just create a blank page. The simplest fix for this is to make sure you always open using the periodic note plugin's open weekly note command. But you can also set up a meta templater like Brian Jenks that detects it is a weekly review from the name and picks the correct template and then moves the file to the correct folder. Here's the code for removing a file when this template is triggered. So for the rollups, you can track things like memories. For example, today I went hiking with my brother. The air was so nice. What you achieved that day, insights, consumption log of what you have read that day. You can type them out like this, which is like the normal inline format. A tip I got from the Obsidian Discord is that you can just use square brackets around the normal inline data view field, and this lets you capture a specific part of that sentence instead of the entire sentence. Logs might be something like, today I finished code for a simulator. And then since I'm using rollups, this would look like work log, today I finished simulator, and then I can do this brackets. The difference between brackets and no brackets is like this. It kind of renders it into a different thing, and it also allows you to just, and also found my USB. So I only want this to appear in the work log and this not to appear in the work log, which is why I have this square brackets. And if you look at my work log, you will see that this one, only today I finished code for simulator appears and the other one will not. YouTuber log, you can see that today I finished code for simulator and it's here, but you don't see this line. If I remove the square brackets, it would look like this. See, if I put the Dataview inline rollup on its own line, it works, but if I try to put it under a timestamp, it will disappear because it doesn't really register this as the inline Dataview attribute. So if I did square brackets around it, then you'll see, oh, this specific section is included, but the bit after it isn't. So if you want to capture items in a list view, you can't really do that with the Dataview inline field because it only takes the first line. You can use square brackets, which are used to capture a specific part of a sentence for the Dataview rollup. And then you can add in the br command, and this will allow you to have rendered line breaks, but they're not actually line breaks. So another thing that you can do with the square brackets is that you can put br inside and then be like, next task is to do unit tests. Okay, so this will render it as if you had a line here. So if I did this preview, you see that, oh, actually it renders it as two different lines. And this allows you to have the look of bullet lists like this, when actually Dataview does not allow you to have line breaks within its Dataview inline attributes, because otherwise it would only read the first line. For example, if I remove this and I did this, it would not read the second line, even though it would render it as if it was part of the same block. It would not be rolled up into the table. Next, for habit tracking, depending on the kind of habit tracking you want, you can use either Dataview tables or the habit tracking plugin. Dataview tables are essentially the same as rollups. You can make them a little bit pretty, like this showcase that I found from Obsidian members group that used emojis and they rolled it up into a nicely formatted column. I like the habit tracking plugin because it allows you to check whether a task is done. So instead of having to enter a value into the Dataview inline field, what you can do is you can just check off that to do, and the habit tracker plugin will be able to find that exact match of the to-do in your daily page. And from there, it can provide you with a summary. It can also show you a calendar with annotations like, did you exercise that day? Did you drink enough water that day? So the Obsidian tracker plugin that you see over here essentially looks at my daily pages within a certain date range, and they check whether or not the task is ticked. So here you see that this week I have drank tea 3 times, and if I click it, it will become 4 over here. Then for this calendar, it tells me whether I've worked, whether I've exercised. So if I tick work and I render this again, you'll see I have both worked and exercised today. I like to do this for my mini habits so I can see a summary of how much I've been exercising recently. Have I been working enough productive hours? I use the roll-ups for everything I want from my daily note, but I also use tags for things that I want to track across many notes, like next weekly review. I could do it with the Dataview Inline rollup, but I prefer to use tags sometimes because tags have auto-completion while Dataview inline fields don't have that. So you can either make a snippet for the Dataview inline fields that you use a lot, or just like remember them. It's also convenient for me to use the next weekly review tag because during my weekly review, I actually want to go back and delete that from the things that I've already processed. So for things that you're going to go back and edit, I would recommend that you use something like a link instead of a Dataview inline rollup. So now I'm going to be explaining the code and the structure of my weekly review template. First off, the weekly review template in source mode looks like this, and this is what it looks like when it's rendered out in the primary theme. I have page metadata on the top of my weekly review. So mode is just telling me like which section of my life this belongs to. Is it life or is it work? Then kind is labeling the kind of note this is. In this case, it's a weekly review note. Then for status, if I'm done with it, I will change it to status completed. But before that, it's either status blank or status started. For summary, this just tells me the exact date range. I usually have it in the top. And then monthly review, this is the monthly review that this weekly review is under. Because it's a March weekly review, it's under the March monthly review. Okay, I'm going to scroll. I think I can link the notes. So yeah. Yes, okay, so I'm going to scroll it so that you can see both scrolling at the same time. Okay, so I want to use the weekly review so that on Monday, which is, this one starts on the 7th of March, right? So on the 7th of March, which you see here, I want to see the notes from last week's. So I completed a weekly review on the 6th of March, and that weekly review tells me what I need to do from the 7th to the 13th of March. So this is week 1 and this is week 2. So for week 2, I want to open a weekly note that shows me a certain section from last week's weekly note. So I want to see week 2's weekly note should show the part of week 1's weekly note that has this part, which is where I write up all the things that I have to do this week. So what you can see is I do have it here. I basically grab the name of last week's note and then I put a hashtag, and then notes for next week is the standard section as you see here that tells me everything that I want to remember for next week. So this here is part of the weekly review that was created on March 6th, the Sunday, and it tells me what I need to do from March 7th to March 13th. So the week 1 Sunday, I do this weekly review, and on the week 2, I see this every time I open my week 2's weekly review. So I have this right at the top of my weekly review, And then once I'm done with this, let me hide this. I can scroll down to review this week. So that top part was for me to see from Monday to Sunday. Then on Sunday, I want to start preparing for next week. So I'll be doing next week's weekly review by filling in these notes. So usually it's blank and then I fill this part in. So how do I fill it in? I look through this checklist. Usually I open this side by side with the note and I don't link them together. So then I can check through the checklist and work on adding things to this part of the note. So I'll just explain my weekly checklist briefly. It's based off the getting things done method, and I have task generation, which tells me that I should look at my calendar to see what events I'm going to have this week. And I should check on my email to see if I have any updates from my colleagues, and the same thing for checking Slack. Then I have a trigger list, which I use to remind myself of all the things I have responsibilities to, and like any long-term tasks or projects that I kind of want to work on, but it's not actually a definite task yet. Then long-term tasks will be a tag that I use to remind myself these are the things that I want to work on for like this quarter, this year. Then next weekly review is, so this is a tag that I put on my notes during the week, and I will go through them and remove them from all the entries from this week, and I will add the tasks to here, either must do, bonus, or miscellaneous. This is an easy way for me to capture things that I want to look over during the weekly review at the end of the week, and I don't want to just click into the weekly review note. Okay, so this past week I have clear inbox, which tells me to look at the tasks this week. If you scroll down, you'll see that I have tasks this week. This is a rollup that looks at all the files I've modified during this week between the start of this week and tomorrow, and they have not been completed, and these are the tasks that I need to do, like the tasks in my daily notes that have not been done. If it's been completed, it won't be considered under here, and if it's a template task, I put it under a text heading so it won't be counted as an incomplete task. Okay, let me scroll back up. Okay, so captures to Zettels. I will look through each daily page manually and see if there's any idea that I've captured, because I have a Braintoss workflow that lets me capture it in the app Braintoss, not sponsored. Then from the app, it will automatically send to my email. And in my email, I have a script using Apple rules and Apple script to send those emails into my daily note. It's actually kind of buggy, so I won't be making a video about it yet. So these captures, I will look through my daily notes and think about whether or not I want to put them into their own note. Then summary, I want to make a summary of the week that has passed so far. So I'm doing a weekly review on week 2 Sunday. It will be week 2's Monday to week 2's Sunday that's being summarized. So if we look at these weekly notes, these are just the daily notes of this week. Then we have memories. This is like what I did this week that was memorable and I kind of want to remember. I also have a second one. So the top one is for like anywhere in my daily notes that I have memories. It looks like this, and then that would be the important memory. If this was in my daily note, it would be captured into here. Then next you see this journal memories tag. It looks at notes that are tagged with a day of the week and has the journal's memories tag, and it will find all those files for memories that I put in my journal for this week and capture it here. I don't have anything here this week. I summarized this up manually, so it is like a quick overview of my entire week's memories. And sometimes I add in things that I didn't add in the memories over here. Next, we have goals. For goals, I have a cute little table that tells me this is what I was feeling on that day and my energy levels for that day. I'm not really religious about keeping up with it. So like sometimes I will add in an emoji, and most of the time I'll just like forget to add in my daily log. Okay, so for habits, you can see that there's this no valid Y value found in notes. That means that I didn't actually tick this thing off at all during the week. And I have daily tasks that link to this habit that I'm trying to track. Like, do I remember to get tea for myself the moment I wake up? You can see that there's like this buggy 1122 thing. I have not actually been able to remove that bug. I've tried like changing a few things here and there, but it didn't really help. This counts the amount of times that you do the task, like the amount of time you check off that task inside your daily note. And I have whether or not I get straight out of bed and to my desk instead of lying in bed, whether I drink tea in the morning, whether I actually exercise that day, do I forest, which is an app that helps me not be so distracted. So work is, have I worked for 4 hours focus mode? And then we have work 4 hours at least, and exercise, yoga, swim strength training. So this last one actually is my calendar over here. And if I check off work, it'll show off the top hat. And if I check off exercise, it'll show the running person. Then I talk about weekly progression. It's like, have I actually progressed this week in my goals? Which usually is like, have I worked enough? Am I productive enough? Am I being healthy? Am I doing the habits that I want to be doing? Okay, so then we have YouTube. YouTube log is a log about my progress this week so far in my YouTuber side hustle project thing. And I also did like a few different things. So every day I would try to add something to this log. I also have a work log, but I didn't show that. I just like deleted that from this page. But yeah, I also have a log that's like work log, which is convenient for tracking like how far have I progressed in my work tasks. What did I do that day? Because I need to write up a monthly report on my work progress too. Okay, so I just do a summary and this will roll up into my monthly review. Same thing for life. I have both life summary and daily summary, so that's what you see here. Life log and daily log. Life log is for like things that are like home life, and daily summary is just like a summary of my entire day. Sometimes I use one or the other and sometimes I do both. Reflection. This is if I capture any insights, like I have any sparks of realization. I do always fill in the weekly reflection summary, so if I don't have insights, I just look through my daily pages a little bit, or I just like remember off the top of my head how I felt about my system, how I want to improve it. So tasks this week, I already showed you. This is just all the tasks that I've generated in the last week. And now I'm going to show you my weekly template. So this monthly review, year, month in numbers, and let me just copy this so it's visible. But if you see this, it will give you the monthly review text. And then this is the year, and this is the month in numbers, and this is the month in a word. So explaining the weekly review template, I have a line here that tells me the date range for the weekly review. And then if you scroll down, this is this week. Basically, I need the name of last week's weekly review. So I have a -7 here. That will be the last Monday. And then hashed note for next week will take the header that goes note for next week and all the subheaders under it. That's what this looks like. And then this is empty because my weekly review template starts out empty and I slowly fill it in. The checklists are all under these text headings so that they won't be found by my task rollups. So this is not something that Dataview will consider an incomplete task if you try to look for it. Then same checklist as before. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down into the summary of this week. This is all the notes of this week, which if you look over here, it's just all the dates from Monday to Sunday of this week. And then if you look at memories, this is the Dataview table that gets this. So memories is the key of the Dataview inline field. So in my daily note, it would look like memories. And then here's the memory that I want to roll up. And it will be looking for all my daily notes, which are tagged with this periodic, daily, and the emoji. And it will also be looking for the title of this file, because all my daily notes have a link to this weekly note. So that would tell you the correct date range for the daily notes. But just in case, I also checked that the file was modified sometime after or on this Monday, and that the file was created before tomorrow. This is so that if I look back onto my weekly note and I somehow have tagged some other daily note to this weekly note, I can still see it very well. This is supposed to get any note that has a date link to this note, and also the page type journal memories to collect all my journal entries. Same thing for the file modification time. So just gonna continue on. Here's why I enter in the summary of my memories for the week, and I will roll it up into my monthly memories roll up. So next is goals. Goals is basically the same kind of thing, except I want to have 2 columns. So I have table without ID, which tells them that I don't want to have the file name. But then after that, I put link file name as day, because I just want to have it under day. Then feeling as smiley face, which puts the title like this. Energy as lightning bolt. And then this is what my header looks like. If I had a lot of different fields, it would look a lot cuter, like a normal habit tracker. Then from periodic is, again, the same thing. It has to be tagged with this week, and it has to be a daily note. Then it has to be modified within a certain date range. Then next we have habits. Habits is using the Obsidian tracker plugin, and you can see the documentation on their webpage. I just copy and paste it. So this is whether or not the task has been done. So count whether or not the task has been done, or just check whether or not I have checked the checkbox for that task. And then straight out of bed to desk is the name of the to-do in my daily page. This doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure that this doesn't conflict with the others, because I've had some bugs with that. And then folder, this is the folder for my daily notes. If you want to take my weekly review template and modify it, you do need to change this to whatever folder you put your daily notes in. This is a nested folder, which is why there's a slash. And then we have the start date, which I only want to look at this Monday to this Sunday. Fixed scale can make this bigger, get T would be like this big. And then this is the title of the note. It'll make more sense if we look at get T. This is the title here, and then times is the value unit, which you see here. Then after that, you see this section coloring, dark gray, silver, light gray. The ranges are 3, 5, and 7, because I want to see if I've done it at least 3 times. If I've done it 5 times, then that's another level of achievement. 7 is obviously the last. I think that's it for all my tracker plugins, except for the last one. So the last one is the calendar tracker you see over here. It's basically tracking 2 different things. Is the task done? Is the task done? And then this is the first habit, and this is the second habit. This is the exact text I have for the task. And then once it finds it, it will put a hat and then another running person if I have worked and ran that day. So yeah, and then it just has slightly different code. It basically tells them that I want to annotate, which is why I have these things underneath, and these are the emojis that I want to use for each habit. So YouTuber log as entry. So what it's looking for is anything that has YouTuber log : So YouTuber log, and then that thing is what it looks for, and then it'll give me the text it puts here. It's the same as my memories log on top. It's just that I also added a string to ignore things from other places, which I probably should have added for the one on top, but I just didn't. I want to ignore my archive, because that's where I put files that I don't want to see anymore, just because they're old, or they were part of a different system with a different metadata tagging system. Then meta is where I put my system documentation, so I talk about the different hashtags that I'm using there. Templates, obviously I want to ignore that, because otherwise I'll have random templates popping up into my search pages. And then system notes also kind of explain the system, but they are more automated. Then system meta is another tag that I have, which covers a whole bunch of things that might document my system and I don't want to see in any sort of rollup. Then here's the date thing, and basically it repeats for life and daily summary. So life log and daily log are the things that it picks up, and then this is what it be labeled as. So I changed daily summary to summary at some point this week. Then reflection, it looks for insights, and then tasks this week. These are just all the tasks that I have created within that week, or I've modified a file that contained that task within this week. Another way to automate your workflow is to have your templates auto-trigger based on a trigger phrase in your link. When your templates auto-trigger, they can be automatically renamed for you. And this also means that you don't have to remember and fill metadata to reduce friction, effort, and the chance that you actually forget to tag it correctly. For people with a folder system, this also means that you don't have to manually drag the file to the correct nested folder. I expanded Brian Zhang's meta templater by using a phrase instead of a symbol to trigger my templates. So that can be anything that's in front of the dash, the trigger phrase in front of the dash, in order to generate either a template or a template prompt like this. So this is my meta template picker code. I'm currently working on this video, so if you're interested, please subscribe below so that you can be notified when I publish the video.